Welcome to Kansas State. My favorite part of going to any section meeting is visiting other people's glassblowing shops. Not always the demos, but seeing how they do things, what special tools they have that might make my job easier, or what techniques they use that would make a job faster for me. So I want to share some things with you that I'd have to say none of them are original with me. I probably got the idea for some of these things from some of you, so I hope there'll be something that's useful for you today. So at any rate, we're glad you're here. As we pan across the lathe area, it is at 90 degrees to the bench, so it's easy to move from the bench to the lathe and back again if you need to do some parts preparation. I want to start out focusing on the on-off for a cradle burner or a lathe carriage burner. This one happens to be from Carlisle. They plug into the standard disconnects I use, which are Hodgson disconnects for gas and oxygen. You can see on the ends of the hose that plug into that there are two inline filters to protect the solenoids from any particulate stuff that might get in from the gas and oxygen. Immediately at the lower left of your screen are the two 90-degree ball valves that are used to control the flow to the carriage burner, and there's a foot pedal that controls the solenoids, and on the top of the box it says gas in and gas out. There's also a delay when shutting off, so it'll first shut off the oxygen, and then after about 3 seconds the gas will kick out. Normally there'd be an HSJ sitting there with a 6-jaw sun and planet chuck on the head and a scroll chuck on the tailstock. Right now it's my little F lathe that I use for some precision work. That's also the torch holder that would normally be on top of an HSJ. You can see it looks a little kludgy sitting on top of the F here. Naturally, that's a Smith little torch with a hornet tip. I love those tips. They don't blow out. You can get a nice small flame. It's a very useful tip for me when doing small, precise work. In back of that, you can see on the back there a magnetic on and off holder that holds a flex bar, flexible arm to hold a Bunsen burner to keep things warm. The flex bar holder locks in place with a twist of a knob. It's stainless steel aircraft cable inside articulating metal pieces. Thank you, Eric Moraine, for turning me on to that. Those are really nice ways to hold things in position, and they do hold. So this carriage burner looks pretty silly on an F lathe, right? That's a swivel head with 4 Q5 burners for doing large diameter round bottoms and that type of work. I'd particularly like to draw your attention to the green oxygen and the red Hodgson quick disconnects. The insert that goes into those, the inners, are different configurations, so you can't accidentally plug gas into oxygen or vice versa. And of course the torch is hanging on a gas saver. If we pan up just a little bit, you can see another tool that's been very useful for me, and that is a Fordham flex shaft. A flex shaft is a lot like a Dremel tool, but the business end is at the end of a long flexible cable, so you're able to move around and have a lot of flexibility. I do some grinding with diamond bits, usually with some water, so that's a very useful tool also. As we pan down, yes, right there, right under the edge of the bench where the blow hose is, maybe you can see there's some valves under there. So that's the blow hose with two 90-degree ball valves, so I can control blowing to either the headstock, the tailstock, or both at once. It's a very convenient way when you're doing complex apparatus to be able to control exactly where you're blowing. Last but not least is the ESL lathe. It has a fire saver on the tailstock, just like I would have on any other lathe. I really like the finned donuts, so you're able to grab smaller size tubing as well as providing a good hold on larger diameter tubing. In the headstock is my favorite chuck of all times. And that favorite chuck of all times is a 6-jaw chuck. What I really like about the 6-jaw, especially when making fritted items, if you're making fritted filter funnels or sealing fritted things, frits into anything, you can easily grab a length of quartz tubing inside the inner 3 jaws and use that as a stop for your frit inside the bottom of your filter funnel, and sealing them is very rapid. It's sure nice having a long lathe like the ESL. It has about an 8 1/4 inch bore, which allows you to work on larger diameter tubing, and the length of the bed and the swing make it easy to do longer manifolds if you like to make those at the lathe, just to use the lathe as a holder and rotate things back and forth so you can work on it. And I told you, I don't know if I have any original thoughts, but I learned this, I believe, when we took a section meeting to Universal Instruments. And that is these little steel arms with a notch cut in them that are used to hold flanges. The nice thing about these is they slip right inside the arms. They're already there. They don't have to be a tight fit particularly. Because they're round, they'll still center up. And you'll notice this one has a little bit of ceramic fiber on the inside. That's to cushion it just a little bit. A little piece of that would be on the insides of all these arms. And that way you can grab onto a large diameter flange without actually having to, and get heat pretty near it without worrying about damaging your jaws. With any of this equipment that's so expensive and so precise, I think it's important to try to preserve it, to preserve its accuracy and its usefulness as long as possible. Something else I wanted to share with you is something that was a lamp shop hint quite some time ago, and that's this little donut that has the hole drilled off center. It has a couple of set screws so you can lock it in place, and if you place this on one of the arms on your lathe, you can seal things off center. Usually I used to use it when sealing a sidearm, or not a sidearm, but an arm onto a vial that they wanted the bottom half of the vial open, and it had to be very precise as to where it was so it would fit in their instrument. This was a very convenient way to do that. Once you have it set, lock it in place, and you can make those off-center seals all day long in perfect alignment. Those are some things I hope you found useful. If you saw anything that piqued your interest, please ask any questions you might have. I'd be glad to share with you. I hope you had a good time visiting K-State, and if you're ever in Manhattan, Kansas, I hope to stop by, visit the glass shop. It'd be nice to see some people.